Now, I should mention that it sounds easy. If you've taken a vow to feed Bhagavan, you just make a little bowl full of food and you put it on his plate. But that's not how it worked in practice. He would not accept anything from any devotee unless everybody who ate with him had received at least an equal share of it. So as the number of visitors increased at Ramanashram, Mudaliar Patti and everybody else who wanted to feed Bhagavan were faced with the logistic problem of making enough food so that everybody who turned up at lunchtime in the dining room could have an equal measure put on their plate, and then one equal-sized portion would be placed on Bhagavan's leaf plate. He was a very strict egalitarian in the dining room. He knew that everybody wanted to serve him extra. People thought that they could make him happy by piling extra food on his plate, which he didn't want. And the one surefire, guaranteed way to make him angry was to try to make him take extra food or to give him delicacies which were not served to other people. He kept an eagle eye on all the servers whenever he was eating, and he would note who was getting what kind of food. And if he could see that people at the far end of the dining room were not getting the same food that he was, he would simply refuse to eat that particular portion of that food that day. So generally, everybody who served him, they knew that if you wanted to put anything on his plate and have him eat it, you had to make enough food so that everybody in the dining room received at least an equal share, and then Bhagavan might accept whatever you put on his plate. He was so insistent on this that for some time he made a rule that nobody was allowed to put anything on his plate unless everybody else in the dining room had been served first. He said, if somebody is going to go without, that person is me. I want to see everybody in the dining room fed before anything from any pot goes onto my plate. So I say this as a background information because with Mudaliar Patti, quite exceptionally, he would accept huge amounts of food from her with a big smile. He never criticized her for trying to overload his plate. When she walked into the dining room and he saw her coming, his face would light up into a kind of radiant smile. He'd say, "Oh, welcome, Patti, welcome, what have you got for me today?" He would look inside her basket. He would often serve himself from the basket, which was quite unheard of. And as she was walking away to serve everybody else in the dining room, as often as not, he would call her back and say, "That was tasty, that was good, give me some more." This was absolutely unheard of. I think she was the only person who ever fed Bhagavan who elicited this kind of response from him. And I think that the reason was that she caught him with her devotion to such an extent that he had to respond in this way. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, the 19th century Bengali saint, once said, "When you've attained ecstatic love, you've found the rope to tie God with." I think this was the state of Mudaliar Patti. She had intense, burning love and devotion towards Bhagavan to such an extent that his normal rules for the dining room crumbled in the onslaught of this wave of love and devotion that she was beaming at him. And whenever she walked up to him with her basket, the strength of her devotion compelled him to help himself, and then as she was walking away say, "Come back, I want some more." Nobody else managed to do this except Mudaliar Patti. Annamalai Swami told me a long time ago that Bhagavan once told him, he said, "I'm only afraid of two devotees, Mudaliar Patti and Ramanatha Brahmachari." And Annamalai Swami went on to say that it wasn't physical fear. Bhagavan faced down wild animals, he faced down robbers who wanted to beat him up, he faced down people who tried to blind him. Nothing ever fazed him physically, but when people came into his presence with immense unconditional love towards him, he knew that he had no capacity to say no to anything that they wanted. They might not even have to express it. If they had that desire inside them, and if they had that strong, unconditional, devotional love, he knew that whatever it was they wanted, he had to oblige them. So I think in the case of Mudaliar Patti, she came into the dining room with a basket of food, determined to feed Bhagavan, and somehow Bhagavan was helpless in the face of the devotional wave that came off her. So he would break his rule, he would say, "More food please, extra helpings please." And nobody else quite managed to cross that threshold of devotion that compelled Bhagavan to do this when he was served food.